If that's not music for your soul, I don't know what is. There's music that sets the tone off. Cesária. Nosh diva. Aight. How's everybody going? How's everybody doing? You guys all right? Yeah? You guys are doing great. So far, what I'm seeing the first week in the Facebook group, amazing. Amazing, amazing. Keep this up. Keep this up throughout this entire 4 weeks during this entire adventure, and I promise you, this group is going to be very successful. All right? Very, very successful. I love what I read during these last, what I read about, like when you broke your principles, or when you acted out of character. And what I found was so interesting was that so many times when you guys acted out of character, something positive happened. Something positive happened out of it, which means that it's not always written in stone what type of principles and foundations and values that you guys had, right? Or have. Because if Annie Lee, for example, if she never like stepped out of her comfort zone and acted out of character, she would never be where she is today. Same thing is with Elizabeth. If Elizabeth never acted out of character and actually says like, okay, enough. I'm going to do this. Same thing happened with Kevin. Same thing happened with Veronica. When you decided, it's like, enough is enough. Let me act out of character and move forward. So I think what I want to say with that it's so important to frequently look over your values. Frequently look over your principles, because we're going to add and take away values and principles out of your life, right? So don't get married to an old version of yourself. So me and and that's with everything in life. That's with everything in life. Me and David, we spoke about it a couple of days ago. Just like, man, I really wonder what are we doing right now with our company that we think is like, this is the way we are supposed to be doing it. And then we look back at it and like 2-3 years from now, and it's like, wow, what idiots we are. Like, why did we waste so much time on that? And the same thing is with your principles. Like, look over them, really look over them. And it's like, is this principle mine? Or is it just something that, that's been portrayed upon me? Is this something that my family just put on me? I think it was Marianne who shared a beautiful story about that. Just like, not going against her family, more the fact of becoming another person, just like owning up to her own truth. So again, great job first week. Keep pushing forward. I love the engagement in the group. Keep sharing. Keep posting your videos. Keep expressing and helping each other and moving along. Before we start today's webinar, if you guys have any questions that you want me to address in the group for everyone, or send me a WhatsApp. What's the name of the application? Instagram. Is the number one tool I use. Just send me a message on Instagram or tag me, even better. Write it in the group and tag me, because then I know it's for me. Because I'm not always gonna go and engage in the group. Like I prefer to be as silent as possible, because what I saw is just something beautiful. I see new thoughts happening. I see like new patterns. I see new pathways when I'm like, man, this is good. This is good what I'm witnessing. And before we start today's conversation, I just want to remind everyone that I think it's specifically for this talk. Because this talk is not going to be a talk that you hear a lot of coaches, a lot of dancers, a lot of whatever label you want to put on what we are doing here, talk about. We're going to talk about thought control today. Thought control, concentration, willpower, And just because it's something that you don't understand right now doesn't mean that it's not true. All right? So keep that in mind. Like I said, just because there's something that you can't comprehend at this very moment, it doesn't mean that it's not true, or not. Have an open mind. I really ask you to have an open mind as much as you can during these next 75 minutes. That's approximately how long this time is going to take. And if you have any questions, write them up. I would love to address them to my fullest capacity in the end, right? I'm trying to, so I can see all of you guys. Give me 1 second here to fix this, my desktop. Here we go. Everybody can see me good, right? Yeah, you hear me good, everything? Let me press record. Bam, here we go. So, the first thing I really want to say, it's probably the one statement I want all of you guys to remember throughout this entire course. And it's really that, I say it a lot, but I want to emphasize it, and it's that your inner world will make or break you. What's happening from the neck up is what's going to make or break you. Whatever situation you are in, whatever you want out of life, whoever you aspire to be, it's what's going to make or break you. When it comes to thoughts and thought control, if you really want to control it, you must understand that a thought is something that needs to be directed into one channel. We're gonna talk more about this. By the end of this, again, there's gonna be moments during this webinar where you're like, what is he talking about? And by the end of this webinar, or you're gonna understand everything, or you're gonna have tons of questions, and I'm ready to answer them. But a lot of people say it as like, your words have power. That's a pretty normal saying. But I really need you to understand that what has even more power, and you don't need to understand this, you need to overstand this, that your thoughts have so much more power. Your thoughts have the power over you and your results. And this week is about the assertion of the I. Right? So it's the assertion of the I over the mind. And odd rightly, most of us generally thinks of yourself as your mind. But it's not necessarily the thing, because you're saying also, yeah, but my mind does this. Yeah, but me, and then I get my mind. So when your thinking is like, I can't control my mind, as it is not a thing that is yours. And it's essential that we all understand that the mind is only an instrument. It's only an instrument, just as your body. You can control it. And there is a reason why we all started with the movie ending. There's a reason why we started this whole mental discipline program about movie ending, foundations, principles, values, knowing exactly who you are. Because it will serve as a motive. Your movie ending is there to serve as a motive. And it's truly the foundation of everything, because motive creates interest, and interest creates attention, and attention creates will. Motives, interests, attention, will. Because if we're talking about thought control and just controlling what's happening up here, we need to understand that willpower, concentration, and thought control, they are sisters. They are siblings. And they walk hand in hand. Because in order for you to truly control your thoughts, will be dependent on your ability to concentrate. If you truly want to control your thoughts, if you truly want to control what's happening upstairs, it's dependent on your ability to concentrate. Think about this, right? If you flex your arm like this, nothing will happen. My arm is flexed right now. Nothing has really happened. But if I do the same action and I enforce will on it, and this is just my mind. This is just my mind that's controlling this. I'm enforcing it with will. The muscles will pop. And you repeat this action over and over and over again. Even if you don't have any external weight to it, your arm will grow stronger. Exactly the same thing is happening with your mind. The mind works exactly in the same way. Your mind is a muscle. Your mind is a muscle. You need to train it. And we need to treat it just like that, like a muscle. If you truly want to control your mind, I highly, highly suggest that you start to practice what is called willed attention. Willed attention in your day-to-day life. Because most of us can't right now hold a thought for more than 30 seconds. If I ask you to think about your favorite hobby, even your kids, even your children, holding them in thought, in a straight thought from A to Z for 30 seconds is very hard. It's something that we barely can, most of us can rarely do. But if you practice it over and over and over again, you're going to be able to control that so much longer. And then you're going to be able to control your thoughts at the same time. All right? So the more you practice it, if you will attention, the way I like to describe it is like, if I'm drinking this, I'm only drinking this. I'm not thinking about willed attention. I'm not thinking about what am I going to do later? What am I going to have to breakfast? When I shave, for example, every morning, I'm very focused. I'm very present. I'm very in the moment. I'm doing one thing with willed attention. My attention is in here. Because if I can't even control like my thoughts when I'm doing the basic things, how on earth are you going to be able to control your thoughts when something advanced is happening, when something extraordinary is happening, when you are in a situation where you need to, you're like, whoa, I didn't expect that to happen to me. Like somebody broke up with me, or I'm in a stress situation, I'm standing on stage. But if you can't control your thoughts when you are brushing your teeth, how are you going to do that when you're on stage? Did that make sense? So that's the concept of willed attention. So it's best practice in your daily duties. It's like you perform something with purposefulness, and you speak it out loud to yourself with your mouth open or with your shut lips. It's up to you. And you add will to your words. It's like, now I'm going to do this and this and only this. Like, do you guys, when I say you got to control the voices, do you understand what I'm talking about? Because sometimes I think I'm crazy. It makes total sense for me. It makes total sense for me. And these voices is something you got to be able to control. Like we spoke about, that's why you have your power phrases. We spoke about power phrase last week, but it's like, you all know my power phrase. You all know my power phrase. I say it all the time. Let's go, champ. Like I'm not always talking to you guys. Like mostly I'm talking to myself. Like you hear me saying it, but it's for me. And you hear it everywhere. Everybody have like, you really think Attacca by Attacca in Alemana, like do you think their name is Attacca in Alemana? So like his name is George and Tanya. Like you think like Beyonce's name is Beyonce, but even her has a character name. Like even her has a power phrase. It's like I'm Sasha Fierce. These are power phrases that puts you into turbo mode. So when things are going south up here and you get in a zone where you don't really can control, you need to rely on your turbo phrase to put you back into turbo mode. And like I said earlier, like thoughts must be directed into one channel. It's called volition. Volition means that it's a thought with a definite aim. Like it's a beginning and an end, and it's it's the power of using one's will. We're talking about the power how to use your will. It's a straight line. Thinking should be in a straight line, no detours, no nothing, just A to B. But you might go on some detours. You know, in the beginning, you might go some detours, you might lose your focus, but it's a straight line to get there. It's a straight line to get to your ending. And this is not to be confused with like running around, what I call like running around in a mental circle. Because anybody who ever experienced anxiety, like having that feeling of like almost breakdown, panic anxiety, for example, it's like running around it's like running around in a circle. You don't finish a thought. It's like you start here and then you run and run and run and run and run and you end up at the same spot. And it happens when you have two thoughts when you're trying to control two thoughts at the same time. Shit, I need to go and pick up my kids, and then I need to go and go to post office, and it's like, wait, I'm not finishing a thought here. I'm just running around in circles. I'm running around in circles and I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. So when you try to put two thoughts in your mind at the same time, unless you've practiced this and mastered it, this is when you start to feel stress and overwhelmed. It's like, I don't know what to do, like what's happening? All right? So when you got a thought and it's like, I want to finish this, what am I going to talk to my boss about? Or I know I need to talk to my boss about work today. Think about that, grab that thought and practice it from A to Z. Right now, I'm really focused on loving Kevin. I'm focused on loving Kevin and I'm focused on loving only Kevin. I don't think about what I'm going to say to Anna later, what I'm going to say to Zuzi later. It's like zoned in, boom, this is what I'm going to do. Because you need to remember that when we're talking about like, because what we're talking about is, again, it's strange things. It can sound like strange things, but the way I'm doing my best to break it down to you guys is like, we all felt that. We all felt that we had too many thoughts in our mind at the same time and we didn't control them. So why is this so important? It sounds like I'm starting I hear it when I'm speaking. It almost sounds like I'm starting on the wrong side of this of this entire webinar. But it's so important to remember that, like, if you can control your thoughts, you can control your emotions. If you can control your emotions, you can control your actions. And if you can control your actions, you can control your results. That's a quote from Tim Grover. And it's so true. You control your thoughts, you can control your emotions, you can control your emotions, you can control your actions. If you can control your actions, you can ultimately control your results. And that's what this is about. That's why it's so important. So far, so good, right? Any questions on this? No? We good?
I have one.
Tell me.
So when you say that you can control your emotions, are you meaning in the way that you can control the way you react to your emotion? Or do you mean the way that you actually control your emotions, that you don't feel it? Like if you're like normally you feel sad, but you don't even feel sad because you control your
You don't
actions.
acknowledge it. Yeah,
I'm sad and you say, okay, I feel sad, but I don't let that determine my actions.
Exactly. So it's both. It's both, actually. I truly believe in the highest form that you can do both. Not only can you control so you don't get sad, but if you get sad, you don't put what's called a value judgment on it. But it's a great question, and I'm coming there very soon. I'm gonna explain it to you guys very soon. But great question, great question. But you're gonna get an answer on it very soon. And so we're talking about all of these things, like thoughts, emotion, action, results. Like that's the baseline. The baseline of like your inner world will make or break you. And the thing is that nobody's perfect in this. Nobody's perfect in this. And then what happens is that most of us have a tendency to beat ourselves up. We beat ourselves up when when we're not succeeding in this. It's like, no, I'm going to be more positive. And then you're not more positive, so you're acting out of what you promised yourself, and you start to beat yourself up. And then doubt and like negative self-talk, negative emotions, they just start to grow stronger. So you need to keep winning over yourself. That's why it's so important to, if you tell yourself something, to finish it, then you need to finish it. This is why we have a screenshot of everybody in the group doing thumbs up for you to remember what you promised yourself. This is why I tell you to put your movie ending up. Put up your movie ending in your room and read it over every day. Put up your principles in your room, read them over. I know that Annie Lee has them on her phone. I hope she reads that things every day when she's going to work, you know? Because if you keep acting and keep thinking from your values and principles and movie ending, that will become your default state. Do everybody understand what I mean when I say default? No? Sandra, you don't get it? Okay, so default is like, you know when you bought your phone? You know when you bought your phone for the first time, it was like fabric settings. It was like everything was like, my Samsung looks exactly like your Samsung. It's your default mode. And then you start to add things to it. So default is like your basic way of existing, like your basic way of thinking. So my default right now is a man with confidence. But I wasn't always a man with confidence. Because when I was younger, I was very insecure, but I've been doing so much work and really putting in things and really like my default state is like I'm constantly operating from a source of happiness and source of love, regardless of what I'm going through. But I had so much shit earlier, so when I was in a depressed state, my default was negative. Does that make sense? And I said it earlier, like I'm not here to tell anybody that like changing, like thinking positive is going to change your mind. Like there's no research showing that positive thinking there's no research out there that I found that is showing that positive thinking works. I'm not even sure that it works. But I'm 100% confident that thinking negatively affects you negatively 100% of the time. That's what I'm certain of. I'm certain of that. Because your world is what you think it is. And I've read researches saying that people that are on diets, if you're doing a diet and you are a negative thinker, you have a much higher risk of not completing your diet or for breaking your diet, like stepping outside of what you're supposed to be doing. I read another research saying that negative thinkers have a much higher tendency to get into depression, obviously. That negative thinkers have a much bigger difficulty with solving basic tasks. Basic tasks, just because you are negative, just because your mind is negative. Imagine that. Imagine the power that has over you. So you think you're operating on 100%, but you're really operating like you're operating on 65, but your baseline is so low. Like your standard is so low because you're constantly imposing negative thoughts upon yourself. So whether you're focusing on, like whatever you're focusing on, it strengthens the link between you and it. If you're constantly focused on love, the link between you and love is going to be so much stronger. If you're constantly focused on all the opportunities that's out in the world right now, those opportunities and you are going to get so much closer to each other. That's why you need to guard your concentration, guard your thoughts. It's the link, like your concentration and your thoughts, it's the bridge from where you are right now to where you want to go, your movie ending. That's why we started with the foundations. But then we have all of these external factors. We have like impulses, we have external factors, and they can, like your impulses can lift you over the bridge, or they can lift you over the bridge right down into the water. Like they can literally push you into the water. And then you're just gonna float way down the line, far away from where you wanted to go. What I'm explaining is like, if you control your thoughts, ultimately you will control your actions. How many of you guys been today? How many of you guys ended up on social media and you're like, what am I doing here? What was I supposed to do again? How many of you guys this week went to the fridge for like the 65th time and it's like, so what do I have in here? How many of you guys are staying still as soon as you get into a line, you get into an elevator, boom, we turn up our phones. So we're distracting ourselves. The only time where we can actually like focus our thoughts and it's like, relax. Like why am I doing this? Why am I standing in this elevator to this shitty ass job that I don't even like? Got it. Because I got my movie ending. But we're so focused on consuming and keeping our mind occupied. And then we come home and it's like, I don't know why I'm so stressed all the time. No, but let me tell you, because the only moment you had to chill, to find stillness, was the moment you occupied your thoughts. But that's your impulses. But imagine then you had an impulse that whenever you were still, or whenever you had some time over, you really started to visualize your movie ending. Or you started to build on your movie ending. You started to build on that dream body of yours. You started to build on that dream house of yours. Whatever you're going through in life, right? And I think it's so important. I think it's so important right now that every student in here, every student of mental discipline should remind themselves daily that you can control your own thoughts. You are the only master of your own mind. That's the only thing you can control. That's ultimately the only thing you can control. You are the one in control. Because it's so important that you become your best friend. Because unfortunately, you are the only one who can't control if you live with you for the rest of your life. Your dog can run away. Your fish can commit suicide. Your wife might divorce you. But the only one who is not allowed or able to divorce yourself is you. So that's control. But just like control is a trichotomy, your thoughts is also a trichotomy. Because you can't really control the impulses that pops up in your head, right? Like, just like the heart beats by itself, the mind thinks by itself. Because of different assertion. Oh, I saw this, and for me, it looked like a celery. Then I think about celery. Right? So that's something I really can't control. I can control it but how I act to the most extent is something that I have more control of. I don't have full control of how I'm acting, but how I'm resonating around the thought, that's 100% in my control. If I see this, and then all of a sudden I think about celery, that's assertion. It's not really in my control. It's just your mind went there by itself. If you're dreaming, it's not really in your control. Your mind went there by itself. How you act to it, however, is in most part your own control. But if you see a car running down the street, driving towards you, and you freeze, then you're not really in control, because you're in a fight or flight mode. Your body just sends out so much, sends out, your endocrine system is just on hyper. So you can't really 100% always control how you are acting. Most of the times you can. If I'm calling you a bitch right now, you don't need to react to it. You're in control of that. But how I resonate around my thoughts and the thoughts that I heard, that's 100% in my control. All right? Imagine this. Imagine if you're looking through if you're looking through the world through colored glass, your reality will soon start to change. You know, when you put on glasses and they are like whatever type of strange glasses, and then you take them off and it's like, wait, what? Like, I forgot the world how it looked. So your reality changes, and it's the same thing. You're like, if you see more of what you want to see, you see more of what you need to see in order for you to reach a movie ending, if you're aware of your movie ending. That's the law of attraction. You know, that's the law of attraction. And ultimately what law of attraction is, it's again, I'm not going to sit here and talk about hippie shit. Like, law of attraction is something we can actually prove with science. If you want to know more about law of attraction from a science perspective, it's called the RAS, the reticular activating system. And it's just a filter of neurons. It's just a filter of different neurons that just sort out things. It's like it works almost like the algorithm on any social media. When you go on social media and you've been looking at dance videos, all of a sudden you see dance videos everywhere. Just like if I tell you about auto-suggestion, let's say, yeah, like if I talk about auto-suggestion right now, which is basically what this is all about, you're going to start hearing the word auto-suggestion. Some of you guys might be new to the word law, or to the phrase law of attraction. All of a sudden, all law of attraction is going to start to pop up everywhere. Does that make sense? So if you see the world for what you want to see it and are constantly opposing that on yourself with will, just like you're flexing your own muscles, same thing. Sooner or later, you're gonna find ways to get there faster. But the thing is that we are so focused, we're so fast on adding value judgment. And this is what I wanted to tell you, Veronica. This is what I came to. Like, we are so fast on adding value judgments on things that are happening to us. It's like, do you understand what I mean when I say value judgment? Is that making any sense to you guys? Is that a word I came up with? Yeah? I see some question marks. Cool. So value judgment is, let me give you an example. I drink this tea. How does it taste? I mean, it tastes like ginger. Or, oh my God, that tea is so fucking disgusting. Then I added a value judgment to it. So if I'm thinking about, you know how many days a week I think about killing David? Look at this guy. You know how many times a week I think about killing this guy? But if I'm constantly going to add a value judgment, it's like, I'm such a bad friend. I'm such a bad friend of thinking this. Oh my God. Then I'm adding a value judgment to it, and then it becomes more than what it actually is. If I'm feeling sad, I'm not necessarily recognizing it. You know? Because remember that, how do I say? Do I say vulgar? Vulgarity? How do I say that, Linda? What is it?
Vulgar is correct.
Vulgar. Thank you. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. If, like, adding vulgar languages is not only the effect of the situation, it also creates it or enhances it. So if you're waking up and it's like, I don't feel really crispy today. Like, I don't feel really happy today. But if you start to add a value judgment to it, it's like, God damn, I feel so sad today. fuck, my life sucks. And then you speak it out loud, and then you start to add things, and it's like you're imposing that on yourself. So why am I saying this? Because like your thoughts and your words both have powers, but your words mostly represent your thoughts. But if you're speaking it out loud, you're hearing it to yourself. So it's like interest upon interest. First you're feeling it, you're saying it, and then you're hearing it. Instead of, I don't feel really good today. It is what it is. It's no more, no less, it's facts. I'm not feeling my best today. You ever did that as kids? You know, when you went to bed early, went to bed the day before, and you said like, tomorrow I'm going to lie to my mom, I'm going to say I'm sick. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're sick? It never happened to you? Come on, Karin, don't lie to me. I know I know it happened to you. For sure it happened to you. Tomorrow I'm not going to school. I'm going to pretend I'm sick. And then you wake up and it's like, God damn, I'm sick. What's happening? Like, that's it. That's the thing. It's not that you magically became sick, you know what I mean? So like, remember, there is a great quote from Confucius. Confucius is a Chinese philosopher / warrior from the 500s. No, 500 BC. And he says, those who think they can and those who think they can't are both usually right. And that's what we're talking about there. Like, you don't need to put yourself down. Like, the whole world is designed to put you down. Don't even worry about it. We have enough things around us that is putting you down. You don't need to do that. Like, consumption, capitalism, all of that is based on our shitty self-esteem. Like, so we need to be our own best friends. Like, I keep saying that so much, is like, nobody is going to love Sebastian more than I love Sebastian. Like, I love that character. You know? And especially now, guys, especially now, because you're on this journey. You're on this journey, and even if you feel it now, or if we'll feel it later, things is going to start to change. When you start to go on this health journey, mental discipline journey, like, most of your friends is not going to understand you. Like, they don't want to understand you. And it is what it is. It is what it is. And that happens because they don't dare to study themselves. Like, they want to join mental discipline program, but they don't dare to dive deep into here. So they will portray their own emotions and low self-esteem upon you. It's like the saying, crabs in a bucket. You ever fished for crabs? You guys ever fished for crabs before? No? So what happens if you're fishing for crabs, you don't need to put a lid on the bucket. Because even if crabs can swim in water, as soon as they try to get up, there will be the crab that is under them and grabbing them down and pulling them down. So as soon as somebody starts to get up, as soon as one is trying to escape, as soon as somebody's trying to escape Babylon, somebody's just like, come down. And that's the thing. Like, you now represent the things that they never did. What they never dared to do, like your weight loss journey, switching your addiction, joining your mental discipline progression, just growth overall. And the same thing goes with your mental discipline. Like, the more you dive into your mind, the deeper the rabbit hole is. Like, the mind is a rabbit hole, I tell you. I tell you, it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back to sheep once you woke up. I tell you, it's really hard to go back to sheep after you woke up. So, but what happened is, like, when you were living in an inner thought atmosphere with regrets and doubts and disappointment over ourselves, like, we are really never going to advance into the life that we are seeking. because you're putting that life on hold. But you are also the one that can act on it, which you are doing. But again, with value judgments, you are the one who's putting yourself down. I'm trying to lose weight. How are you feeling? I'm feeling okay. How's it going? Just going by. How is it today? How are you feeling today? Just another day. It's like you're trying to lose. I lose my mind when I hear my students say that. Like it hurts me. It hurts me. It's like I'm really trying to lose weight. It's like, what the fuck are you like? What are you talking about? Trying? You're not trying. Stop saying that you're trying. You train every day. You eat healthy. You drink a gallon of water a day. You're talking to me. They're like, you're not trying. Like, you're doing it. You're doing your absolute best. Trying gives you a way out. Don't come with that. Don't try to give yourself an escape. Because you're doing it. Now, it's going to be a rocky road, just like everything. But don't give yourself an exit like, yeah, but I was just trying. I wasn't really giving any attention, And that's auto-suggestion. It's like you're controlling yourself, you're controlling your outcome. I'm almost talking about like self-hypnosis. I said this would sound like hippie shit. I warned you. I told you today would be a conversation that is not a conversation that most people engage in. But it is what it is. Because it needs to be there. It's a conversation that needs to be held.
Can I ask a question, Sebastian?
Please shoot.
Okay. Because I was just thinking about the connection between the value judgment and trying, and it reminded me of the Trevor Moawad book and the concept of neutral thinking.
Yeah.
And how, like the example of Russell Wilson when he threw that interception and lost the Super Bowl, and he could beat himself up and put a value judgment on his throwing the interception and losing the biggest game of his career at that point. But I guess what he learned from Trevor Moawad with the neutral thinking is that not to put the value judgment of like, oh, I totally effed up, and just think it is what it is. I threw an interception, and I need to examine what that is, and I need to move forward. I need to learn and then move forward. So if he put the value judgment, he could spiral into like negative thought and negative emotions, and those will affect his results.
Exactly. And this is exactly what this whole part is about. And I love that you brought up that book. It's a fantastic book. And neutral thinking, I believe it to be a Stoic practice. Like, I believe it to be an old ancient practice of like, I'm 100% just accepting it for what it is. Like, I'm doing my best. If it happens something else, I can't control the outcome. I can control, now we're talking about like American football, right? Like, I can control that I do my absolute best to throw this ball as much as I can over there. I cannot control anything else. I cannot control the outcome. I cannot control where it lands. I cannot control if the other guy picks it up or not. It's going to suck maybe, but it is what it is. It's neutral thinking. It's like, I'm not adding things to it. And I think it's so important. I think it's so important to have that in anything, and especially your thoughts. Because there's so many random things happening up here. There's so much random shit happening in your mind. Like, imagine if you were, every time I go on Instagram, there is like 1,000, because I'm following a lot of dance accounts, right? Like, I'm obviously a dancer. And I train, which means there is like, my Instagram account looks like soft porn. Like, if I open my Instagram feed, it looks like soft porn, I tell you that much. Like, if I constantly judge the things I'm having here, it's like, I would be the worst boyfriend. But it's like, it's in my face. It's like, I cannot control what's happening over here. But it's like, it is what it is. It is what it is. If I start to add a value judgment to it, it's like, oh my God, like, I'm such a bad boyfriend. Like, what am I doing? I need to, Jesus Christ. Like, that's adding a value judgment. But neutral thinking is just, this is fucking crazy what I'm seeing. Imagine how damaged my little brother must be to watch this every day and he's 10. You know, it's like, it is what it is. I can't control it. But then imagine if you're stuck at a job, right? Imagine if you're stuck at your job that you hate. You're in a situation that you like to your bones. It's like, I've been working at places where I'm like, I don't belong here. I don't belong here. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. You're in a relationship with friends or with people where it's just like, I don't belong here. Like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. But then you got to take control over yourself. Tell yourself, I'm in this business right now, and I'm going to use this as a stepping stone to get to my real career. I'm going to master its secrets, and I'll be prepared for whenever there is a new opportunity. I will stay sharp. I'll win despite all the odds. Like, that's the blueprint. What I just gave you is the blueprint of turning an obstacle into an opportunity. That's the blueprint. You know how many things we've been doing here. You know how many things I do to my day-to-day work, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't think this is fun. Like, I legit don't think this is fun doing. I'm not talking about running mental discipline program, but like doing so many different, like, do you think I think it's fun to write emails? Is it legit I think it's fun to answer all the emails, or like writing emails of like how? Because my method is very simple. Like, Like, and I hear myself saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. But it's like, do you know how tired I am of explaining turning an obstacle into an opportunity? Like in 8 different ways. But I'm using it as a stepping stone to get there. And then I also remember working at McDonald's. I remember working night shifts at McDonald's, working graveyard shift at McDonald's, not that many years ago. And I remember saying to myself, like, I don't belong here. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. But I also remember it's like, when the day comes, I'm fucking ready. When that day comes, I'm shooting. I'm going to be so ready to pull the trigger. And then I know it's easier said than done, right? I know it's easier said than done. I know a lot of us might be in situations in life where you're like, you're really almost to a point where you're losing your hope. Some of us are going through, or some of us have been in abusive relationships, situations in life where you're like, Sebastian will never understand this. Sebastian will never understand this. He's saying I'm in control, I'm not in control. And I understand that this is hard to really comprehend. But the last human freedom is your mind. That's the last thing you lose. They can take away your liberty. They can do all types of crazy things to you. But the last human freedom is your mind. And there is so many strange opportunities that arises from obstacles, from setbacks and obstacles. Like, I did 2 knee surgeries. Most people forget this. Like, I did 2 knee surgeries within 14 months between each other. And I sprained my ankle in between those knee surgeries. But it was such a major opportunity for me. Like, I would never be here if I didn't do it. If I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be so focused on knee rehab, mobility. Like I wouldn't be preaching morning movement so hard as I'm preaching right now. Like the depression I went through it was such a major opportunity that came out from this. I would never care 2 fucks about mental discipline if I didn't do that, if I didn't went through that. Like now during lockdown, we're facing one of the, this might be the biggest opportunity in our lifetime. What we're facing right now might be the biggest opportunity of your lifetime if you decide to treat it like that, because it's all in your control. And it's so hard to listen to the right thoughts. That's the thing. Because we all have these 2 voices. We all have these 2 voices. They're always there. It's like when I'm going to use Anna because he's the person I see right next to me in my screen, but she wrote something about like when she moved to the UK, she stepped out of her comfort zone. She moved to UK, she's very shy as a person at that time. None of her friends believed in her. Another friend had already been going to UK, and that person moved back. She barely spoke English. Nobody speaks Spanish in the UK, you know what I mean? And do you think she had one voice speaking in her head at that time? Like me just explaining it, I hear 5 voices, you know? And because of what we talked about earlier, because of so much social media pressure, so much consumption, capitalism in general, the thing with all of that is that feeds the negative voice. I call that voice the devil. You know, that feeds that bitch voice inside of your head. So the wolf voice inside of you, the one that you should be listening to, that one is whispering. So you really need to take that fine time, that moment of stillness. You need to listen to that voice. You need to find that voice. And sometimes you need to reach that voice. You need to reach out. And that's your power phrase. Your power phrase gets you there. When you feel like giving up, that's when your power phrase is there to put you into turbo mode. And the fun thing with it is that only you control it. That's the thing. Only you will decide if your power phrase work or not. If you leave this webinar saying like, what the fuck? Power phrase? Like, what am I, 12? I'm Spider-Man. You know what I mean? If you feel that it's bullshit, it's gonna be bullshit. If you believe in it, it's gonna happen.
I was just saying, I had to help a lot of people training supervisors, and a lot of them will always be stressed out. And how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? And I've had one of my basic things I have had to tell them, and it's worked especially well with my husband, because my husband himself, he said before I met you, I had anxiety up the yin yang loose. And I said, well, to a certain extent, everybody needs to have that don't give a fuck attitude to a certain point for certain reasons. And I would always tell him, one thing is certain in this world. You can't make everybody happy. You can't make everybody like you. But you can respect everybody and expect everyone to respect you, even if you disagree with what someone is saying, someone's thought process. You can always agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And still always stay cordial. When you're doing something, this is what we're doing. I disagree. I humbly disagree, but what can we do to get to that middle ground?
Yeah.
For us to get there, because my husband would stress when he became a new supervisor. Oh, what if they don't like me? Oh, what if they don't like what I say? And I'm like, honey, not everybody's gonna like everything you're gonna say as a supervisor. Remember, you as a supervisor, to a certain extent, you're no longer the worker bee. You're no longer the worker bee. As a supervisor, now you've gone one step up from being the worker bee to being almost like the conductor. You have to make sure all the working parts are working, and you have to just make sure, not necessarily that they're happy, because you're not going to make not everyone, when they go to work every day, is going to be happy.
That's the
Whatever's
thing.
happening in their life, they're going to go into work one day like, God damn it, I really don't want to freaking be here today, because I swear, you know.
Yeah.
You as that supervisor, now you're turning into that person that now you have to look at your people and recognize when you notice that small shift in their attitude or in their behavior. Because sometimes you go to someone and say to someone, hey, are you doing okay? Just taking someone across one-on-one. Hey, is everything okay? Do you need help with anything? And you would be surprised how there's certain people, they're going to open up. And they'll probably say, hey, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little stressed today. And hey, it's understandable. But I think a lot with people, we forget that about ourselves. And when we box ourselves into those relationships, we always see, we're like one way.
Yeah.
And we get stuck there, and we forget, wow, Seb is a person just like me. You know, not every day he's gonna be happy.
And that's the thing. And I think it's so fascinating that we want to be liked by everyone. Like, Jesus wasn't liked by everyone. Who am I to think that everybody's gonna like Sebastian? If they didn't everybody didn't even like Jesus. Like, why everybody's gonna like Sebastian? I can't control that. That's not of my control.
As a parent, if any of us, as a parent or as a kid, how many times did you hate your parents? And your parent told you couldn't do something. You're like, I hate you! My kids would scream at me, Mom, I hate you. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That means I'm doing my job.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And my kids would get so pissed because they realized they couldn't, they would try to say stuff like that. I hate you, Mom. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I'll care.
That's the thing, and I believe, 100%. But it's important to here's another one. My friend called me today. Like we were talking about, it's so hard to listen to the right voice, right? Like my friend told me today, she just went to Bali, and she calls me and it's like, yo, you should come here. Like, we don't wear masks. Like, nobody gives a shit in Bali. Like, come over here. I can hook you up with a visa. Blah blah blah. And I started to feel FOMO, like fear of missing out. I'm like, whoa, I need to go to Bali. And it's like, what am I saying? It's like, I don't need to go to Bali. I need to be here. What am I doing? No, be quiet. Like, I need to be right here. And that's just that fear of missing out, because then I go on Instagram and then I see all of this, like, oh, they are doing all of this. But it's like, if I look at my Instagram, it's like, they look very similar. But it's just that we got that fear of missing out. And that's why we need to practice thought control. That's why I need to practice this. And it's like, don't add all the things about it. And like, you need to beat your principles and your values into your subconscious mind, and beat your movie, and it becomes your default mode, like that fabrical settings, because there's so much external noise. So how to control your thoughts then? How, Seb, we talked for an hour. How do I really control my thoughts? I'm going to give you some practices that I use for thought control and for concentration. They will only work if you want them to work. That's the thing with this. There is no science behind it. It's just trial and error and studies. What the things I'm picking up have all been given to me from doctors. I read it in books from people that are way, way smarter than me. And when I read something and when I hear something, and somebody who is in a higher position than I am, I'm like, if it works for him, it's gonna work for me. If that is good enough for Abraham Lincoln, it's good enough for Sebastian. That's how I like to think about it. So, first things first, practice willed attention in your day-to-day life. When you're putting on your shoes now, for next time you're putting on your shoes, focus only on putting on your shoes. Don't think about what you're gonna have for breakfast, whatever. Stay sharp. I'm doing only this. Only this. Second thing is become conscious of your patterns. Like become conscious of your OCD loops. Become conscious of your OCD loops. Don't pick up your phone every time you get bored. Don't do that. There's no reason for you to do it. That's an OCD loop. Like, are you truly looking at your phone, or are you like, just bring it up because you're bored? I have like not that many weeks ago, I did that. Like not many weeks ago, I do this frequently. Now I time everything, but I really wanted to understand my OCD loops. So I'm like, what are the things? Like, how often do I open my phone? How often do I go into Instagram? After opening Instagram, like, I think I opened it one day. It's like, I went on Instagram like 48 times. It's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I live with my best friend. He's right there. My girlfriend is right there. What am I doing? And for me, it's easy to go there. I can use an excuse, you know what I mean? I work with social media, so I can just lie to myself. Yeah, but it's customer research. Like, no. Shake your OCD loops. We all have them. And then we have people, like, if you're becoming very like self-conscious in front of strangers, or you're getting like awkward when talking to somebody, you're the type of person that starts to blush, or like you get scared when you need to confront somebody. Stop. Do your best to don't focus on yourself. Focus on them instead. All right? So it becomes like it's inhibition by substituting. So I'm not focused on me. I'm focusing on you. I'm not focusing on the fear that I'm feeling. I'm focusing on that happy thought that I have. Did that make sense? So if I'm feeling nervous, what's the opposite of nervous? Let me really focus on something that makes me happy. So you have like an anchor thought almost. So when I was going through, or I still do it, like if I'm feeling anxious about something, I have a happy thought. I have a happy space that I go to. Like I consciously go there. And it's like, I'm just gonna focus on this. So I'm pushing that away and substituting it with something else. Work on your concentration. Do short concentration exercises. Because remember that concentration, willpower, and thought control, they are sisters, right? Like we spoke about this, they go hand in hand. Sit still, just look forward, think. Look straight forward. I'm only going to look straight forward and count to 50 in my head. If you're brave enough, count to 100. Loud, in your head, without moving your lips. And then see how many times you lose concentration. I dare anyone to go higher than, if you go higher than 50, you're better than me. Like, no. Go higher than 50 without like dropping one thought coming in. That's tough. But again, if you can't control your thought when being still in your home, commuting alone, how on planet Earth do you expect yourself to control your thoughts when shit is going down? That being a dance show, a promotion, closing a deal. Do mirror meditation. I call it mirror meditation. I'm not sure that's the best name for it because I'm not really meditating. But I just stand in front of the mirror. I look myself right there, right in between, like I don't know what that's called, but like the beginning of my nose. I guess that's it. That is. I don't move a face. And I just try to think about nothing. Just try to think about nothing. focus on my thoughts. That's it. There's another one I've been playing around with. Because then you hear all your thoughts. Then you want to. So what we want is for you to get used to hear your thoughts. Because when you get used to hearing your thoughts, then you're gonna be understand how to like, wait, okay, I hear all this shit. Like I'm gonna be able to control it, right? Like how are you gonna control something that you can't even hear? Sit. This is a good one. Now we're in lockdown. Some of us are in lockdown, so it might not be easy for us. But like when you're in a public crowd, when you're in a crowd, when you're at the bus, when you're going to work, just look up. Just look up for a second. Just for a second, look up and see. It's like nobody's here. Nobody's really here right now. I'm the only guy who is here. Everybody else is in their phones, in the newspaper, if people still read that. It's like, open your head and just look around you. And then you're gonna understand that like a crowd, it's just a common mind. A crowd is a common it's like it's one consciousness. You go to a show and it's a really bad speaker, and then all of a sudden the whole audience has bad humor. Everybody's laughing at his bad jokes. Because we are one mind, everybody becomes one mind all of a sudden. And this is why people are acting crazy. It's like, oh shit, one person threw a stone. Wait, so everybody's looting right now? It's cool. I guess I'm a looter. Here we go. Like, it's the same thing. You're a common mind. Like you just. But then again, the only thing you need to do to break that is just to look up. Just to look up and like, you work on your concentration in a different way. And when you're feeling all of these things, if you're confronting somebody, if you are in a situation where you are like, I need to control my thoughts, check your breathing. Check your breathing. Shut your lips. Just shutting your lips, I tell you, just shutting your lips has a huge increase on your concentration. And start to breathe through your nose for a while. Start to breathe through your nose for a while, and you're gonna understand that your breathing will do a lot for you. How was this, guys? I forgot our stretching. Let's everybody stand up and do a fast stretching together. We're almost finished. That was all I got. If we have any questions, we're gonna run them over, but let's at least add a stretching together. Onja mai. Right. I promised this webinar would be 75 minutes. I did it in 73 minutes. I want to say like any questions, but I would be surprised if you guys didn't have questions here. But if there's any topic that you want, yeah, let's shoot. Let's shoot with questions. Shoot with questions. Tell me,
I have a question.
Tell me.
Remember how you were saying that, and I may be paraphrasing, validity judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically, when your actions will more or less affect the perception by other people, of yourself. I think that you have kind of picked up on, based on our interactions, that I deal with that myself. Basically that no matter what I do, it's never good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that basically, and that I because on our weekly checkups on Sundays, I give a rating of my progress. And then you actually brought up like, you're doing all this, but why are you ranking yourself so low?
Uh-huh.
And then you mentioned society's already trying to put you down enough. You don't need to put yourself down. There's already enough external factors out there that's already putting you down for you. They're doing the work for you. So my question to you is, with that issue that I have when it comes to my own view of my own self-worth or my efforts, how do I once and for all break that chain of self-hate? Because that's what it boils down to for me. I'm gonna be very honest. I deal with self-hate.
That's a good question, and I'm not gonna be able to. I don't think I can answer like how do I end self-hate in like in a quick answer. You know what I mean? But I don't, because there's two answers to these questions. I don't necessarily. Remember that we spoke about last week that your blessing is your curse and your curse is your blessing.
Yes.
That shit right there is your blessing. But that shit right there is also your curse. Because that's what's going to make you want to become better. That's your inner drive also. But that's your dark side, my brother. That's a perfect way of expressing your dark side. But if you let that control you, then you're gonna cripple. But if you understand how you can control that, because that's not something I can tell you straight away. It's like, just do this and then that's gonna work for you. But if you truly put in your mind, it's like, I'm just gonna understand what am I doing up here? What is this thing? And that's what you're doing. That's the journey you are on right now. This is the journey we're on together. You know what I mean? So I truly believe that is a benefit for you if you learn to control it. Not hating yourself, but putting pressure on yourself. Because that's what's going to make you going to reach greatness. Did that make sense? I would love to run over that deeper with you also in one of our calls. But me personally, because I'm the same. I put incredible pressure over myself. I berate myself very, very low during the weeks. It's like, because I know I can do so much better. But when I have numbers in front of it, that's why I track everything. That's why I track everything. Because then I can see it on paper. Could I have done more? No, it's physically impossible for me to do more because there's only 24 hours. Can I train harder? Or no. I have a trainer. I did my best in every workout. Can I meditate more? You're already meditating twice. But then what you're feeling, your self-esteem, the self-hate that you're talking about, that's something that we need to dive deeper into. But it's a great question. But I cannot answer that straight away, my brother.
That's fine.
Tell me loose. No, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna dive deeper into it also. But it's like it's tough to like once and for all, how do I end it? Because it's the value judgment. It's the value judgment you put. That's what I believe. It's the value judgment you put on it. It's like I feel I'm not performing at my highest. Okay, but why is that? There's something that's deeper than that. But if you learn how to control your dark side, that is what's going to make you to reach greatness. I promise you that. Tell me, Luz.
I used to think that way, and what I did was I changed my thought on it. What I did was, instead of hating myself, I started thinking, I'm not going to hate myself. I'm going to hate my reaction to what I did. I'm not hating myself. I'm mad that I didn't do my morning workout, like I said. I didn't do my meditation that I was supposed to do. And I'm pissed at myself, and I'm hating the fact that I'm allowing this to make me change the habit that I'm trying to create. And when I started reversing that thinking, instead of being me, I'm the problem. It's not me personally that I hate. I'm hating how I'm allowing myself to be controlled by everything else instead of me taking control and trying to figure out, how do I control? This is what I have to hate, being controlled and letting other things control me. And when I started working on that, I realized a lot. I started realizing a lot more that, I'm not hating me. I'm allowing the world to define that I'm worthless. I'm allowing the world and the exterior to tell me I'm not worth it. I'm not good enough. I'm not this. You know, and it's like, no. I gotta change that in order for me to get things done, in order to be happy with myself.
Yeah. And that's the value judgment also, right? Like that's adding a value judgment to what happened. It's like, and I believe truly, Lil Homie, I truly believe that the journey you are on right now, that is what's going to get you to that next level. That this is the journey. You are not trying to become better. You are becoming better. Every time we talk, I hear it on you. Every time we talk, and this is why I'm shaking you. It's like you gave yourself a 6. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, including decimals, on your average performance, you meditate twice a day, you train every day, you have a regular job, you're doing great. What would have had to happen for you to become an 8? You know, and these are the types of questions that one need to resonate with. One need to understand with yourself. It's like, but what is it really? Like, what would I really need to do to become an 8? It's like, okay, I know my values right now. I know my movie ending. Am I acting according to my movie ending? You know what? I'm a 6. I'm still 6. Perfect. I'm not going to complain that you have high ambitions. I think that's amazing. What I don't think that you should have ever is beating yourself up always like, I'm worthless, I'm useless, that I don't deserve whatever, because that's going to cripple you even more. Because remember, if you have a negative thought atmosphere, it's going to affect you negatively. So at least do your best from now on, because now we have all of these things. Do your best to add to not add value judgment and to act neutrally. We're going to talk more about this. All right, Familia, fantastic questions. If you have more questions, please shoot them in the Facebook group, and I promise you I'm going to answer all of the questions. All right. Cool. If you have any questions, write them right now inside of the Facebook group. Ron, we're going to keep talking. We have our weekly coaching calls because we're in a circle. And by Dancers for Dancers, challenge is coming up. Rewatch this webinar. If you haven't done the last week's challenge, don't slack on yourself. Seb says Tuesday, challenge Thursday. I love you a lot. Let's go, champ. Ciao, familia.
Ciao.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.